Hello class and welcome back to our next lesson. This lesson is going to be over pointillism. This is our Art 2 lesson, so if you have not watched the previous videos in Art 2, go ahead, go back and watch those because every lesson leads into the next one. Okay, pointillism. Pointillism is a style of painting that originated in the late 1800s, and they kind of look like this. Pointillism is whenever you take different colors and you put them really close together on a canvas or a painting, and it makes it look like the colors are blended, but they're not. Instead, it is just dots of paint, and that's it. Pointillism is literally thousands and thousands of points or dots on a painting, and it's just dot, 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 dot. That's what it is. And how it looks like that it's actually blended, like this right here. Let me go ahead and I'm going to hide myself for a second. So the picture that you see there of the Eiffel Tower is made up completely of dots. And if you zoom into this, you can actually see that it's made up of just red, yellow, and blue dots. And the reason why it looks like that there's actual colors in there is because the colors are put so close together that it makes it look like that they are blended. And this is something that is called visual blending. So at a distance, it looks like they're blended together. In reality, they're just dots that are really, really close together. Okay, going on. Typically, whenever you paint in the pointillist style, you use red, yellow, and blue, and using those colors, you can make the other colors on the color wheel, just like we did whenever we were mixing colors and making your own custom color wheel. I am not quite that mean to my students to make them do that. I will allow students to use different colors. You're not just using red, yellow, and blues, but typical pointillist styles use red, yellow, and blue just like this. This artwork at a distance makes it look like that it has other colors in there. In reality, it's just red, yellows, and blues really close together. If you were to create a color wheel in the style of pointillism, it would actually look something like this, where you can see that the orange is red dots over top of yellow dots. So let's go ahead and look at some of the artwork from this time period in the pointillist style. The main guy that is noticed for the pointillist style is named George Seurat. And George Seurat, if you look him up, he is the forefront leader in the pointillist style. And this artwork, this is one of his most well-known pieces, if not his most well-known piece. And if you notice down here, you can actually see that the time frame that it was produced in was in between the years of 1884 and 1886. And the reason why there's a big gap in between there is, and this is from my own research, there was a time period where the artwork was finished, but yet he decided it wasn't finished, so then he went back and finished it again. So there was actually a 2-year time period where it was finished, it's not finished, now it is finished. And the reason why it took him that long, there were certain things that he actually added to this. This painting is a 6-foot by 9-foot painting, and you can actually see the amount of dots that were put into this because that's all this artwork is just dots. That's it. It's all dots. And this monkey is a very good representation of why he didn't think it was finished or what he added to it to make a completed artwork. For instance, this monkey was not originally there. You can actually see right here the woman's foot. You can see through the monkey and see her foot. You can also see it right here, and you can see the edge of her dress right there. The monkey was an afterthought, and it was one of the things that he added in during that 2-year period. But all that aside, how many dots were actually in this? It is estimated to be 3.5 million dots, and those are only the dots that are visible to us. And what I mean by that is they take a very small portion of the picture. So if I go back, they take a very small portion of the picture, say right here, and they measure it out like a 1-inch by 1-inch square, and then they count the dots that are there. Then they multiply it by however big the image is, and that gives you an approximation of how many points. So it's 3.5 million dots or points. And that's just the ones we could see because, like I mentioned, he went back and he added some stuff in there, like this monkey. George Seurat actually produced a few of these style artworks. Now, in my research, I was only able to find about I think it was 5 or 6, maybe 7 artworks that he actually completed in this style. And there's not a whole lot of artists out there that painted at the scale he did with the 9 foot by 10 foot canvases and things like that. So he really got his notoriety from painting in this style. But the thing is, it just took so long, and there's not very many of them out there, just simply because it took so long. Okay, so your assignment for today and the next few days. In fact, typically this takes my students about 5 days, maybe a little bit longer. Sometimes if they really want to put work into it, it'll take 7 or 8 days. I've had students spend 2 weeks on this just because they really wanted to. But your assignment, you are going to create your very own pointillist artwork, and it has to be something that is a photograph. It can't just be a cartoon drawing, okay? It has to be something that you can actually look at. Now, it can be mythical, it can be realistic, it can be something that doesn't really exist, but as long as it has depth and shading and color, something that you can actually transpose into pointillism with blending, visual blending, then it'll work. Like, for instance, this image of Donald Duck. This is a very good example of how you can do blending visually. For instance, right around in here, you can see that this is a different color, orange and yellow, than this over here. And the reason for that is because you have orange dots closer together, which makes it look like it's more orange than over here, where you have yellow dots closer together and the orange dots are further apart. That is visual blending. And I like to point out right here, this area right here, I like to point out to my students because the collar right there on the neck is actually the same color as this right here around the chest. It's the same marker. Okay, it looks different. And the reason why it looks different is because the dots are closer together. In the collar, the dots are really close together, which makes it look like it's a darker color. And then right here in the chest of the shirt, the dots are further apart, which makes it look like it's lighter. So you can get the values of different colors just by putting them closer together or pulling them further apart. Just like in the eye right here. Around the outside of the eye, dots are closer together, therefore it is darker. But as you go closer to the center of the eye, they get further apart and they get lighter. That's why I show this, so I can give you a good example. Now, I showed this image because I like to, I always tell my students this, and it doesn't really sink in until this assignment. This project, I do not care if you get finished with it, because I care more that you are working on it rather than you getting finished. This person was able to get finished with the top corner right up here. And the amount of detail that he put into this, it's phenomenal. He did a great job. He didn't get anything else completed exactly the way he wanted, but that top corner he did great. And he got full credit for this. Yes, it's not finished, it's not completely done, but you get the shape. The bird's right here. It's supposed to be setting on a branch that's going this way, and he was going to add that in. It's overlooking kind of the water area right through there. The sky's already done up there with some of the clouds. He did great. Okay, and it's all made of points and dots. That's it. Now, this is another example. This one's actually from high school. And you can see they used, instead of markers, they used pens. I believe this is made out of gel pens. And they did a phenomenal job. But it's the same concept. It's just dots really close together in the darker areas, further apart in the lighter areas. I show this example because I have students that want to do a monochromatic artwork, which is just one color. And that's perfectly fine. You can. But keep in mind that whenever you do this, if you need a darker value like this, the dots are really close together. If you need a lighter value like this, the dots are further apart. And all of this artwork is one color. It's just black. It's a black marker. That's it. It's just black. And how you get the different tones, like around in here in the grays, it's dots that are closer together for the darker areas, further apart for the lighter. That's all there is to it. And I like to show this example too because this, it might be a little hard to see, but it's the Grand Canyon. And you can see the mountains going down right here into the valley, and that is the river going through the Grand Canyon. Phenomenal piece. This girl did amazing with this artwork. She did a wonderful job. And she was looking off a photograph to do it too. And then this is the last student example I have, where they took a realistic picture of an eagle and then they put an American flag behind it. And you can do this too if you want. My requirement for this lesson, it has to show visual blending, which means you need to be able to mix some colors together, or you need to be able to space dots further apart to make it lighter, closer together to make it darker. It has to show visual blending. It has to be something that is realistic. It cannot be a pencil drawing of Mickey Mouse and you just dot around the pencil drawing. No, that's not going to work. Okay? It has to be something original. I have on the rubric, if you're in the classroom, that it has to be completely filled in. And yes, I do that because I want to make sure that you all are actually working and you're not just grabbing a bunch of markers and going blah, 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 blah. And I just want to make sure that you're doing this correctly and actually putting thought into it. However, while that is part of the grade, the majority of the grade, over 50% of the grade, is you working every day on it. So it doesn't matter if you get finished with it or not. That's only 10% of the grade. If you work every single day on it and you don't get it finished, you can still make a 90% or higher. So please, really try to work on it. Okay? Don't just rush through it and get it done. Now, I'm going to explain to you how you're going to complete this, and I'm going to do it right here. I'm not going to give you a live demonstration because it's pretty straightforward, but I am going to show you what to do and what not to do, and I always like to do that. First off, you're going to need to select a picture. If you're in the classroom, I have lots of pictures for you to pick from. If you're at home, you can do anything from a calendar that you have laying around with pictures in it. You can look something up online. Do whatever you want with that. The piece of paper you're going to be putting it on, you need to have, if you're in the classroom, it's going to be a 9x12 piece of paper. If you're at home, you can get a thicker piece of 9x12 art paper from Walmart, order it from Amazon, or if you don't have any of that, that's fine. You can just use a regular piece of printer paper or computer or line paper. I'm not picky if you're at home, okay? Use what you got. Now, whenever you draw your picture out, always sketch it out first. Sketch it out, put your pictures down, see how it looks, and then you're going to test. So you're going to have a piece of paper that you're going to be testing on. Pointillism's difficult. It is. And I do not give my students the final piece until they have mastered and understand visual blending. So what you're going to do, you're going to be taking a marker, and you're going to be practicing dotting, and you're going to try to make different values by putting the dots closer together and further apart. Do that on your sketch. Try to practice colors. If you don't know how to make a color, practice it. And then when you think that you got a good color blending where some's close together and some's far apart, I want you to take the picture, hold it back, or have someone take it back away from you so you can see it at a distance. Because with these pictures, as you get further away from them, they look awesome. Up close, all you see is the dots. That's it. But when you take these artworks and you look at them far away, you actually see your blending. That way, you can see where you need to improve on. You can see if you need to bring the dots closer together, pull it further apart. You can actually see what's going on with that. So try to look at your artwork from a distance when you're working on this. When you are satisfied that you know how to blend, that you know how to point, that you know how to do the visual blending, go ahead, get your real piece of paper, get your final one, and start on that. Sketch it out with a pencil, okay? Sketch it with a pencil first. Then you can dot it with a marker. When you take your markers, do not hold it like this and start jabbing away at the paper, because you're going to end up flattening the tip of your marker. And you don't want to do that. Just take it and actually think about where the dots are going and just dot. That's it. It's that simple. Don't take a whole handful. Don't kill the tip of your marker, because you will do that. Just practice with it. Okay, that's your assignment. Make sure you have a picture. I will actually have some pictures linked below that you can use if you don't want to look any up. Make sure, sketch it out first. Practice on one. Get your final paper when you're satisfied. Sketch it out on there and then do your final pointillism artwork on that. Hold it away from you every now and again to see how it's coming along. And that's it. Thank you all very much for watching. Don't feel bad if this takes multiple class periods. Like I said, minimum, kids usually take 5 class periods. Okay, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this lesson, go ahead, give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you like this video series and you'd like to continue with our class, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'm going to try to be uploading all of my lessons over the next few weeks. So if you'd like to stay up to date with all of our lessons, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.